Welcome back to Faster and Louder. Just as a disclaimer, I already started recording some parts of this video thinking that it was going to be a little bit more focused, so I'm probably going to use some of that in this whole video. But I quickly realized that this video is just going to be a lot of stuff going on at the same time. I'm kind of at a point where I can sort of start focusing on the transmission, which is one of the last big projects, but there's a ton of other small stuff to do, as you can see by the little list that I made here. We're going to be hopefully putting in the 401 today, at least putting it on the cross member. I don't have any of these things, but we're going to hopefully finish and bleed the brakes. There's the door hinges and a couple of these other smaller things, maybe even the radiator, I'm not really sure. So basically my point is I'm going to be trying to get as much of those small things done as possible so I can just focus on doing the transmission. Before we get too into this video, I just wanted to go back in time a little bit here. This was shortly after we took the engine out of the Javelin. My initial hopes was that the engine could get unstuck. It wasn't able to turn over by hand, so I tried to do a few things to get the pistons unstuck, but they were really jammed in there. We took it out and started disassembling everything. And then from there the plan was to bring it to a machine shop and get everything checked out. Make sure it's all good before, you start dumping a bunch of money into an engine. So that was pretty much the plan here. I dropped off the crank, I dropped off the block, and I dropped off the connecting rods with a machine company that's pretty local to me. They are a shop that AMC Restorations uses all the time for all of their initial rebuild stuff, like all the actual machine work. They're called King Balancing, and they're in Glendale, Arizona. So I dropped off everything there. They said everything checked out fine. Technically, it would only really need to be bored out to about 20 over, but as many of you probably know, finding 20 over pistons is basically impossible for AMC stuff. So I'm going with 30 over because that's an off-the-shelf available part. So I'm doing that. Then I dropped off a lot of other small things with Dan Curtis at AMC Restorations, because he's going to be doing the other part of this. And we kind of hashed out everything that I'm going to do with the build. So I'm going to be doing forged pistons, which are the Wiseco pistons. It should be running really close to 10-to-1, maybe just under. I'm going to be using Edelbrock aluminum heads, the aluminum Offenhauser 360 dual port split runner thing. I don't know, my brain's not working. But it's basically a single plane intake. You've seen it already, I'm sure. Anyway, so I'm using that. I have a Holley Avenger 670 CFM carburetor that I'm going to use instead of the Edelbrock. And now I'm starting to wonder if maybe it's going to be a little on the small side with the rest of the build. So we'll just see what happens with that. And then the cam that I'm going to go with is a Lunati. And I actually remember the number on their website by heart. It's 10100-703. So it's a lifter kit for that. And that's what Lunati recommended to me, even with my concerns about vacuum. So they said that would be the best cam for what I'm wanting to do and matching up my combo and everything. I'm going to have 354 gears, and I have someone that's wanting to sell me the actual carrier for posi or limited slip, so I'm gonna get that too. But anyways, that's pretty much the whole setup. I mean, I'm gonna use headers obviously too, but yeah, that's the basic idea. That's the outline of my entire build. With the intake manifold that I have, that will probably be the limiting factor on this whole build. that's going to be kind of the bottleneck, I think. But I should still hopefully be making somewhere between like 430, 450 horsepower at the crank without accessories. So we'll see. I guess we'll find out eventually. I'd love to get the car on a dyno when it's all set up and ready to go, but I just wanted to make sure that I actually said it. That's what the whole build's gonna be. I got a little bit of work done on the transmission, not very much, but today the engine is actually gonna be coming home, and it's gonna be reunited, and it feels so good with the Javelin. So I'm here waiting for Dan Curtis to come drop off the engine. We're gonna put on this stand right here, and it's kind of just gonna hang out here until, you know, I'm ready to actually drop it in, which really shouldn't take too long. I need to drill a hole for an O2 sensor in one of the headers, and I need to do some modifications to one of the motor mounts because of the headers. So I'm gonna have to do that, but then the engine can actually go in there, and it'll probably just end up sitting for a little bit because as I stated, I think in this video, I need a starter still to attach to the transmission, which is over here. So anywho, that's what's happening right now. Here it is, guys. I finally got the 401 back from the engine shop. There it is. Oh my God, I am so excited about this. Got the MSD blaster coil on there. This is a Summit HEI on it. It's going to be controlled by the MSD black ignition box. I have the Summit 8601 cam in it. Got the Offenhauser Equiflow 360. Edelbrock aluminum heads. Holley Street Avengers 670 CFM carb. They were nice enough to get this all tuned up and ready to go. They already had it on the engine running, so that'll be ready to go when I get everything in the car and running. Looks pretty nice with the plug wire management and everything. Looks nice and organized like it should. Got a nice water pump on it. I'm gonna have to install a lot of the brackets and everything on there, but I'll probably just do that after I actually get it into the engine. So next thing I'm gonna be doing is probably, well, we're gonna get it on the engine hoist and all that, and I'll probably get the motor mounts down here, just kind of like mock everything up, make sure it fits decently, get it all good. And then I'm gonna have to make sure everything's good with the headers to get those to fit in and all that. But that might actually be later because I do need to like make sure it's gonna fit with the starter and all that stuff. So it's a whole different issue. But I would like to get it at least into the car and, you know, kind of get it into its home here. But yeah, the reason we're not using my stand is because I need 5/16 bolts, oops, for the bottom ones actually. They're a little loose fitting, so I'm just super excited. Like, this is pretty much the biggest single thing that needs to be done on the car, and now it's done. It's sitting right here in front of me, and I can't even express how awesome this is. is just keep moving it back and forth, kind of wiggling it in. Oh, there, now Ivan's showing up. But I pretty much got it where I need it. I just need to move it back a little bit and start wiggling it into place. Show up when all the hard work's done. See how it is. Okay, Ivan is here. We actually had to make some adjustments to actually get it to fit down into the cross member. Basically what we just had to do is attach the actual motor mounts to the brackets that are on the engine and then just set everything down into the cross member. So everything is now officially in. The engine is in the engine bay.
It's home.
Hopefully, yeah, it's home. Hopefully we don't have to pull it out a million times for whatever reason. But this is so much easier than Randy's GTO. Yeah, like Randy's GTO, we had 4 people fighting it for like 4 hours and we still couldn't get it right. But we were trying to line it up with a transmission for his too, so that I will give him that. But this was super easy. There's a bunch of little things that we can do today, so I'm gonna probably start on the brake stuff. We need to just tighten up a lot of fittings, and we need to get there's a line over there that goes from the front of the car to the back, and we're gonna possibly get that going. Maybe get some brake fluid in it and get the brakes working. That'd be pretty cool. Okay, Randy showed up. He's looking up stuff on his phone. I'm trying to figure out some stuff with the accessories. It's changing from what it was before in the way that I'm actually not going to be putting the air conditioner back in right away, and I'm not going to be using the air pump anymore. So I've been trying to look at some pictures online and everything to try to figure out how everything actually goes in here. I have a lot of the original hardware still, so that shouldn't be an issue. But if I can actually get this figured out, then I can mount the actual power steering reservoir with the new pulley and everything. And then, speaking of pulleys, I just ceramic coated the crank pulley, so that's drying right now, and when that's dry I'll be able to install that. So I'm gonna find more stuff to do. Oh, Ivan actually just left and went to the parts store because he's looking for a fitting that connects like everything in the front here to the line going to the back. I think that there was an issue also with this brake hose. This is too short, so I think I got the wrong part for that. And yeah, I forgot to mention that to Ivan. He probably left and he's probably not getting a replacement for that. What did they say on Top Gear?
Well, on that bombshell.
Yeah, on that great disappointment. We basically determined that I need some hardware that I don't have in order to get the power steering bracket back to where it's supposed to be. It took a little bit of supposing and figuring. I was wrong, and it wasn't mounting. It wasn't supposed to mount the way that I thought it did. It actually goes all on the heads and then, you know, comes forward. So I let this dry just a little bit, put the new pulley on there, so that's there. Ivan, you got the
brakes,
the brake the line going all the way to the back, right?
Yep.
So he's got that, but then
and you gotta get the rubber line.
He's swinging that piece in his hand because he's gonna
redo this.
He's gonna redo it. Yeah.
Gonna Ivanize it.
Yeah. So then that has to be done, and then we can do
finish brakes.
Yeah, bleeding the brakes and everything, getting brakes operable. Kind of mock this up a little bit. It seems like that's gonna need a little kick or two in order to get that where it needs to be. Looks like the mounting points on the radiator match at least the distance up and down. I don't know about side to side. I don't have a micrometer that big. That'd be more like a macrometer, I guess, measuring that large. You could always use a tape measure. Yeah, you could always do that probably. I mean, it's a close second.
That's what most people would use.
Close second. They were trying to figure out the 710 cap. It's up here. I mean, I'd say today is about the second or third like night that I've actually ended up coming over here. It's just a continuation of these small things I was kind of talking about. It's just, this is going to be all over the place, guys. So I mocked the fender up. I asked a lot of questions online, and you might be wondering what I was asking. It was why there is like 5 inches gap from the wheel well to the top of the tire. And as far as I can gather, guys, it's just because I don't have everything in the car just yet, and I haven't been able to drive it around and let it settle. I've done coilovers before, which is a different animal, and they do settle a little bit, so I'd imagine these would too. There's a lot of stuff that still needs to be put on the car. The front bumper and assembly needs to go back on, radiator, all the accessories, random electronics, the other fender. There's a lot of stuff. Oh, and the transmission. The transmission's not in either. We are back at the Faster and Louder shop. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done today. Hopefully we can get a pretty good amount of stuff done. I'm gonna be concentrating on a couple smaller things, I guess you could consider it. I am going to continue work on the gauge cluster here. Haven't decided if I'm going to make a whole separate video about this or just include it in this one. So I guess you're about to find out if you haven't already. The other thing I'm trying to figure out today is a lot of the front engine accessory stuff. Last time we appear to be missing some bolts or something for the power steering bracket. Hopefully I'll be figuring that part out today. The alternator bracket is here. I was missing a Z-bar that goes to the engine that helps brace it from the back over here. So I have that brand new. Should probably spray that with some paint really quick. But I do have the alternator now finally. It looks like some people had to do some modifications to make the alternator fit exactly how it's supposed to, so I guess we'll figure that out when that comes. So yeah, it's really just the power steering and the alternator that need to be figured out. I do have pretty much everything that I think that I need in order to get this thing roadworthy. I've really tried to think ahead a little bit and just get some of this stuff taken care of. I have more stuff that's come in since I last recorded this. A lot of this is like rear suspension stuff. I have like the leaf springs, obviously. These new boxes up here are the 373 gears. I have a rebuild kit for the track lock. This is one-piece rear axles from Dr. Diff. The main difference really, as far as I can tell, between Dr. Diff, or Diff Doctor, sorry, Diff Doctor, and Mosier is the Mosier axles, you actually have to send your old ones into them, and they basically cut them to size and then they send everything back. For these, you actually cut them yourself. So you have to take your original axles out, figure out what they are, and then you cut them to size yourself. But yeah, so some of that stuff I'm not really going to be doing right away. I would like to put the shocks on probably, if nothing else, but I do just want to get this kind of on the road and then start figuring out some stuff before, you know, I take more things apart. which I mean, I've never been able to avoid doing that so far, so I don't really expect anything too different. But Ivan is actually on his way also. He has some bolts that he's bringing that I can hopefully use for the power steering reservoir, and then he's going to be trying to finish up some things on the brake lines, and then hopefully get the brakes bled, and that whole thing will be done. I can't remember if I showed this yet or not, but I put the new voltage regulator there and the relay. I don't even know if I need the voltage regulator. I'm not sure if there's a voltage regulator built into the alternator. I'm gonna have to figure out a couple things. I'm pretty sure I still need that, but yeah. I think that's pretty much everything. So that's basically you caught up. So while this is all drying up, we're just trying to piece together some hardware. I have a lot of the hardware, but probably not the majority of it. So we did find 3 bolts. I didn't bother painting them, but they're in there holding a bracket in there. And now we're basically just finding some bolts for the power steering to mount to the bracket. It sounds like we're still having issues with the brake lines. There's this rubber hose that actually goes to the axle, and it's not reaching. I don't know. Ivan apparently knows what he's doing. Today was kind of rough. Ivan just left, so he took the transmission. I gave him all the rebuild stuff for it. Ivan's back now. He must have forgot something. What'd you forget?
My water bottle.
Oh no. I was explaining how much of a failure today was. Tried.
This shit happens whenever you do stuff like this.
Yeah, I don't know. I was expecting it, but it's still a pain in the ass.
You gotta expect it.
Yep.
When you're running into modified stuff.
Hashtag old car shit. Or yeah, modified stuff, pretty much.
Well, the heads are changed, so that makes stuff a little bit off center.
Yep.
The brakes.
Brakes, that was O'Reilly's on them. They gave, well,
right.
It seems like a few different people have their own stuff for that.
Right, it's like I said, they make one size, you know, because of all the cars take so much of a similar brake line diameter, and the fittings are all universal, so to speak, up until you get into metric bubble.
Yep.
And boom, okay, that'll work. Carry that on your shelves.
Yeah. It technically fits.
Well, wait a minute, it doesn't fit an AMC Javelin. A what? Never mind.
Just keep selling it.
Yep.
All right, well, good luck with the transmission.
Yep. I'm gonna finish putting my workbench together for it.
All right. Alrighty.
See ya.
See you later. So yeah, as he was kind of explaining, there's a brake hose that goes from the metal line going back to the actual axle, and it tees off there. And for some reason, O'Reilly's and actually a few different brands, they give the wrong length of the hose. So I looked on Rock Auto, and there's at least 3 or 4 on Rock Auto the wrong length also. They want to give you the, I think it's like 13 and like 11, I don't know, some stupid measurement, almost 14 inches, and it's too short. You got to find the one that's about 15 inches long total with the T. So yeah, if you have under 14, it's the wrong one. It's not gonna work. So we got that part figured out. I'm gonna order that as soon as I can. And then we had a lot of issues with the power steering whole situation. We got everything on. The pulley was like all out of whack and not really sitting right. So we tried a couple things there, and then kind of got things correct for the most part with it being mounted and everything, and then realized that the bracket that goes on the front of it was now hitting the actual, like the back of the pulley. So I think the pulley is actually, I don't know what it's from exactly, but it's technically not correct either. But I think we're just gonna kind of like notch out the front of that bracket so the pulley itself isn't rubbing on it. It's just barely touching, but you know, just a little bit of clearancing on that will be just fine. And then I got this Z bracket from a guy off of Facebook, and I believe this bracket would work just fine if it weren't for me having the aftermarket Edelbrock heads. I think that the surface here, it's just not out as far. Like when we had this in here loose, this looked like it was a good 1/4 inch, maybe even 1/2 inch too short. You can tell kind of just by looking at it right here, you can see it's like bending sort of, like it's not quite long enough. So to remedy that, I'm just gonna put some washers in here or something, or you know, something to space that away from the heads a little bit. Or, I mean, I could just leave that the same there and then do some washers probably here instead. So yeah, you can kind of look at it right now. I'm not sure if you can tell on a video, but it's tilted back quite a bit, and I think that's a big part of why. But it also looks, I mean, I don't know if I'm just not lining up with it correctly or what, but it looks like it's a good ½ inch too far back. Like, it almost just seems like the whole thing needs to come out, but that could just be the way that I'm looking at it. I'm not entirely sure. It's hard to tell. I think once it's pushed out a little bit, hopefully it'll be better. But yeah, I don't know. So there's that to deal with, and then, you know, obviously when that's all done, I can finally move on to the radiator and all that. But it's gonna have to sit for a little while. Ivan does have the transmission. We actually were able to load it in the back of his little Dart, surprisingly. So he's gonna get started on that. He can take his time on that. I'm not super, you know, I'm not really worried about that getting done right away. This is drying up. I could probably start sanding on this, but I am out of time for the day, so I'm just gonna have to call it good. Maybe throughout the week I'll be able to come and finish that. So that's where we're at so far. It's been about 3 weeks now since I've been at my shop. I mean, I've been here, but I've been really busy with a tattoo shop remodel. Anyways, I've been really busy, haven't been here. I've basically just been kind of collecting some parts. I actually sold my motorcycle. I had like 300 miles on it. I've owned it for like 2 years. So got rid of my motorcycle, and that definitely freed up some money for some of the parts that I need to get this car finished. So I've basically just focused on pretty much literally everything I could even think of to get this thing roadworthy. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm just going to show you what I have and what I've done, which is very little. But this is it. The one thing that I have done is I got started on the racing harness. So I got that mostly installed. Then I realized, thanks to someone that obviously has dealt with these before, that you can't really have the harness like this. The guy online was actually saying that you can't have it on the floor at all. If you look at my other video, you'll see a little bit more detail about what I did here. I made this rear seat delete out of cardboard. And I made a little hole there for this bolt, and now I'm realizing that I can't actually use that spot. If you look in the directions, they specifically say not to use the outside position on the floor. And for some reason with this 3-point harness, they only want you to use the hole closer to the middle. But anyways, what I need to do is try to figure out how to move that anchor point over to that side, and then I believe I'll be good. And then I need to make some more adjustments to kind of make this fit a little bit better, and I think everything is how it should be now. Double checking the instructions, that is a proper anchor point right there. I got this adjusted about as well as I think I can get it. Got it pretty snug and everything. Thankfully everything is just barely within reach with a harness on. It's probably gonna get old pretty quickly, so I give that about a year and I'll probably get rid of it. Whew, I am already sweating. Today is like day 346 of getting the engine and all the accessories and all that stuff bolted on. I've been here for about an hour, hour and a half. I'm waiting for Ivan and or Randy. I was hoping at least one of them could come and help me today, because I really want to get these door hinges sorted out, and it would be a lot easier if I had a second person. So I did a lot of finagling with washers and spacers and all kinds of stuff to get this alternator fitted correctly, but now I have it pretty straight, it looks like, with the pulleys here, so it shouldn't be an issue, but that's kind of eyeballing it. It might be able to come back a touch going in this way, but the way that I did this was extremely difficult, probably more difficult than it had to be. But you know, trying to slide in washers on some of these bolts to get the adjustment right was challenging to say the least, but it looks like I have it pretty well sorted out. There's just barely enough space between this alternator and the oil filter, so I'm gonna keep an eye on that. But looking at the list here today, got install the starter, which we can't do because the transmission's not done. Finish and bleed the brakes, which we should be able to do today. Obviously rebuild the transmission's not happening today. I would like to fix the windows. That means basically just adjusting them and keeping them from being all wobbly, and then getting the hinges fixed on the driver's side door. Hood latch isn't going to happen today either. It's going to be one of the last things I probably do. And then if we can get, actually what's not on here is the power steering. I need to put that on here. The power steering bracket and power steering itself needs to get figured out, so hopefully I can figure out at least most of that today, to the point where maybe I can start getting the radiator and all that stuff sorted out, which would be super cool. But I hear somebody outside, so hopefully that's Ivan. And once you know it, it's not. Sorry for all the fan noise, but it's like a million degrees here in Arizona, and even with my shop fan and the swamp cooler, it's still very hot in here. Let's see, what's the temperature today, guys? Take your bets. 86.5 degrees, 63% humidity. It's kind of humid outside. It's monsoon season. Swamp cooler's barely doing anything. Cool. Anyways, I updated the list here. I added a couple things. So I added install power steering, which means everything on the actual power steering pump slash reservoir. I don't actually have all those, so that's not going to get completed regardless today. And then I also have that I need to add the fuel pump and the fuel lines going to the gas tank. So that is a couple additional things that need to be done. If I could even get half of this stuff done today, I would feel like I did something. Got Randy and Ivan here today. Check that shit out. We're due to a mistake that I made with thread measuring, the holes are actually, or the bolts are actually 3/8. So I measured that wrong. That explains why everybody was like, I'm pretty sure it's 3/8, because, well, it was. So we're drilling it out to be bigger. And then Randy and I are starting work on the doors. We're gonna get these off of the actual hinges and then do what we gotta do there. New pins, new bushings. And then when the door is actually off, I think I'm gonna get started on some of the actual door stuff, or window stuff, so the window doesn't wiggle around and whatnot anymore.
Think that rack can fall through the into the engine would be okay?
Stuff falling into the engine's always good.
Yeah.
Extra compression. All right, so Randy and I got the door off. Randy got the spring off the top hinge. And now he's gonna be starting on basically trying to tap those pins out of there. And then we got the replacement ones. So hopefully this won't be like overly complicated, but now that I said it, it will be. So here we go. Here goes something. He's got his little punch in hand, ready to go. And then I have the door sitting over here. One of the bolts, the last bolt that I did, actually snapped, so we drilled out the inside of it, and then I need to go get a, what's it called again? The tap kit?
Yeah,
Easy out kit. And then we can get that out of there. I actually should bring a bolt with me too to replace that one. Maybe I should replace all of them since that one snapped pretty easily. And then I'm gonna hopefully gonna get started. Okay, Ivan has updated us. That is the correct brake hose for the rear axle. Finally, the last piece. And I'm gonna try to, I have some replacement pieces for the window in here, like I was saying. So once I get this whole thing taken care of, I'm gonna start trying to figure out this whole bit here. We got most of the accessories on, or pretty much everything except for the AC, which is not gonna go on for a while, but there's a lot of random wiring stuff that still needs to happen. We do need specific stuff to properly bleed the master cylinder. So that'll be next time, but all the rest of the power, or the rest of the brake stuff is in, so that's good.
Brakes are done.
Yep, brakes are done.
All the hard lines are done.
We got the door completely ripped off, and some of it we were able to figure out, some of it we weren't. The design is just kind of wonky because, as far as I can tell, unless something's missing here, everything is based off of this, I don't know what you call it, the rod up here. So I replaced the plastic bushings that go on either side of this, and then there's a piece, where is it at? I can't remember. Oh, it's down here at the bottom. So down here, I replaced that also. So things do feel a little bit better now, a little more steady, but it does still rock back and forth. So I'm gonna look into that, see if there's anything I can do to fix that little bit. But it is better than it was before, so that's good. But there's a adjuster for the door. Where is that at? Right here. So this is a piece that's attaches to the hinges from the door side, and the bolt obviously broke off here. So Ivan's actually going to take that and get that out. And then the other thing is we tried to use the punch. Randy tried for a while, and so did I, but we even ground down the top here and tried to tap it out, and it's not moving at all. So
we cut it down so that it wouldn't mushroom out at the end.
Yeah, so now we're just going to use fire, and we're just going to burn the whole car down. I have the newly painted hood support, or hood latch support, whatever you want to call it. That's on here. The radiator is here. Gonna wait until probably get belts and all that. Yeah, I really wanted to put it in, but he said I can't do it, so I'm just gonna have to cry about it instead. So the belts will go on, I guess. We'll get all that figured out. There still is some things to sort out here, like the hoses for the power steering and all that, so it would be nice to not have the radiator and other stuff here, just in case. So gonna get that sorted out. I have a few things coming in the mail still as far as that goes. Soon I'll probably at least bolt up the MSD box on the other side over there. I think that I don't even need the voltage regulator, because Ivan was saying that the alternator actually has a built-in voltage regulator, basically.
It's internally regulated.
So I may not actually need that, which would be nice, because it doesn't play nice with the MSD box, the voltage regulator. So things are coming together just very slowly. I didn't really touch the gauge cluster today. I will probably just get everything in there, get all the wires in, and then kind of try to like get that fed down somewhere, and then figure out how to get it into the engine bay. That's going to be a project for a different time. Well, that's pretty much it for part one of getting everything back together on this car. And I don't think that it's really going to be just one more video and then this car is running again, but I would say one more video, hopefully, for the engine and everything else that goes with that. There's going to be a lot more work that still needs to be done. As we spoke about, or as I spoke about earlier, there's the door stuff that still needs to be done with the hinges. That was all to try to correct the door sag that was going on here. I'm going to be very soon working on, well, I guess right now I'll be working on the next episode. I'm going to try to get this belt on, waiting on this belt for the power steering still. I'm going to try to figure out where the MSD box goes. In my other video that I've done on my channel about this column thingy for the gauges, I'm going to try to get stuff in here and get wires routed the way that I want it. I'm going to be doing a lot of things, tying up some loose ends with wiring and stuff, trying to get that all figured out. I have the engine wiring harness up there. Need to get that down here cleaned up. Probably going to clean up where the fuse panel is underneath the dash. Just a lot of stuff. So I'm going to get started on that right now. Sorry that some of these episodes are taking a long time. It's just a lot of trial and error. You've seen in this video, every time I'm wearing a different shirt is pretty much a different day, almost guaranteed. So it's been a lot of trial and error with getting parts. Some things I don't know that I need until we're here trying to do it. Things are the wrong part. just all kinds of problems. You've seen some of it, but this is where we are on the list. There's only a few things left on this original list, and I'm probably just gonna update this, and then for the next episode, you're gonna see a whole new list already started. So that is a really good sign of progress being made, I think. So thank you very much for watching. If you do like this video, please like it, please subscribe. Just hang in there for more stuff on this Javelin. I cannot wait to get this thing running and driving. Until next time, later guys.